Hello, my name is Yemaya Renuka Dubé. I am a somatic therapist, educator, and life mentor with a specialty in childhood adversity, trauma, and loss. The effects of childhood adversity, or ACE, adverse childhood experiences, are just starting to be acknowledged and documented by the scientific, psychology, and medical communities. Yet, in the body-mind community, pioneers of the somatic movement have been working for over 50 years with those of us who have been victims of violence, sexual and emotional abuse, neglect, abandonment, and early loss. As a survivor of childhood adversity and young adult trauma, my pain was too great for me to not be propelled on my healing path, because transformation was the only way I could get out of my suffering. I was lucky to be exposed to meditation and some amazing teachers pretty early on. Now, there's something I need to acknowledge right off the bat because it's important. The standards of proper parenting that we have today are very different from those of our parents and grandparents. Things like sexual, physical or emotional abuse were not recognized as such at the time. And to be free and empowered of body and mind is still a new concept, which did not exist before the 70s in our Western society. And it's still not a priority in many circles. And yet, there is a push forward. And that push forward toward an evolution of empowerment of our humanity, to me, is very tightly woven with our understanding of the planet Earth as a living being. But more on that another time. Coming back to my story, I continued to be challenged by my relationship with my primary caretaker, my dad, until I was in my mid-20s. And his violence touched me when I was on a trip back to France to go visit him. Also, I kept attracting experiences that were very painful, but were also bringing a lot of transformative tools for me. It became very clear that I had the destiny and purpose of being a transformative healer, or the wounded shaman, as you might have heard those terms. At 25, a traumatic experience brought me down to my knees, or more precisely to my bed, as I experienced a muscle spasm that was so violent that it ripped the tendon and ligaments in my middle back and how my muscles were attached to my spine, and confined me to immobility long enough to have a complete reset of consciousness and a very different relationship with my anger. Shortly after that event, I discovered somatic therapy and the Rosen Methods body work, and I started to work with Marion Rosen and the Rosen Method School, with which I stayed actively involved for 8 years. In parallel, I also discovered the work of Gabrielle Roth, 5 Rhythms or Sweat You Prayers, which are the very precursor of the ecstatic dances that so many of us are enjoying these days all over the planet. I've always been a dancer. I started dancing pretty much when I was 5 years old. I'd learned some modern and postmodern dance with some amazing performing artists and teachers in San Francisco in the late 80s. And then the Sweat You Prayers or 5 Rhythms work really gave me a new container and a deeper context to free my body and all the restriction that had been created by my childhood and how they were still affecting my muscles and cells. So in combination with the Rosen method and my love of writing and performing, my body-mind process became a really rich path of expression and a hard-earned freedom. I started to teach. Yoga came in and helped me strengthen the places where there had been a dissolution and an unwinding of the past and the old. But sadly, I had developed a debilitating hypermobility conditions that really set me back in my dancer's life and took me through some really painful cycles where I had to face a lot of darkness because of injuries, and got me pretty familiar with the cycles of death and rebirth, or what I call sometimes it can become an addiction to the phoenix rising cycles. Jumping in time, 3 years ago, it became clear that I needed to put my work online. It was time for me to access many more people this little body could reach in my healing center or with my workshops and international retreats. I had to become a translator of this amazing journey my spirit had taken me on, uprooting me from France to California, California to Hawaii, Hawaii to Canada, Canada to Brazil and Indonesia, back to Hawaii, back to California, and finally to New Zealand. I had to start writing, and I did. And I launched my online organization, The Embrace, Mentoring to the Heart of the Matter. Out of condensing and creating pathways to heal and help other people find their way and to heal as deeply as I had, I created 2 programs. A 7-month program that is cut in 2 different levels, the Earth Guardians Impact Academy, and the Grief to Love program, which is a 3-month journey. But I knew I was missing a little piece. And that little piece was what was going to bring everything together. I feel extremely grateful that I was able to receive this guidance and that I was able to hear it and listen to the whispers in my ears during this 2020 crisis we've been in. I started with the creation of Dancing Prayers, the Global Video Challenge on Facebook. I just woke up one day and knew that I had to create this container for those of us who decided to be uplifters in this confinement and quarantine crisis. And also to offer a platform where we could be witnessed in our vulnerability and for our community to be able to see expression on a deeper level. But the response to this group, that exploded in like 450 people in just a couple of weeks, triggered another inspiration for me. What about all our friends and family that felt too shy to post their dancing prayers to Facebook? What were they going through? Was it about isolation? Was it about perfectionism? Was it about the pain being too great to be approached of one's own? Was it that the emotions were too bottled up to be evident or to be recognizable? Did they know how to listen to their bodies and access the truth? Out of those questions came the short course that I want to introduce you today. It's a 5-day course, which I named Create a Dance Video That Heals Your Heart, in which you will learn to find the way in the body to reach the uncomfortable emotions, anger, grief, fear, transform them into power, embodiment, sensuality, peace, and to transform this journey into art, rite of passage that can be memorized and seen and kept, to help you see where you came from and who you became. There are different levels of access. You can take the very short course of 5 days just as is. It's only $27. Or you can add some ads-on, a little bit more mentoring, a private session with me, or some technology tips if you're new at technology. So I am starting to take the list here. If you want to join this new Facebook group, Create a Dance Video That Will Heal Your Heart, and I will send you the platform and the direction and how you can decide, which set of payment you want to participate in. You have a visit here. I send you so much love. I appreciate your time, and I hope to start this journey with you very soon. Much love. Aloha.